her. Would you be able to?
Hi everyone, so welcome back. We're so happy that you're joining us live for A Course in Miracles tonight. And we have our class here, so I'm going to be lecturing for 15, 20, 25 minutes or more. And I asked the class tonight, what would you like to talk about? And two things came up. One was feelings, and the other one was childhood unresolved trauma. Yippee! And how does A Course in Miracles address those issues? And it can be very confusing. In fact, I just wrote a blog about this, that often we are told when we go into some type of spiritual program, for example, a 12-step program, or even A Course in Miracles, we get the message that we're not supposed to be in pain. We're not supposed to have pain. In fact, I was just reading in the Course in Miracles before I came here tonight. I Googled pain in A Course in Miracles, and there was a whole page on your pain is an illusion, your pain is an illusion, your pain is an illusion. And so we got to break that down a little bit before we can really understand, because sometimes those of us who have been traumatized, we take what the Course says to the extreme, and we our ego takes it to the extreme, let me put it that way. And so I want to break this down a little bit tonight, because our feelings and not being able to work through them and pain are definitely interconnected. So we've talked before about feelings, and the Course says that pain is an illusion, but it doesn't say your feelings are an illusion, does it? So that's the first distinction I'd like to make. That pain in itself is a passing thing. You know, if you have something that upsets you and you feel that pain, it's usually associated with a loss. So from a spiritual perspective, there is no lack, there is no loss. So that pain technically isn't real in that respect. It does just come on and move right on through you, and then you are restored to your Holy Spirit, which says this will be okay. There is no lack of money, love, whatever, and just allow yourself to connect to all the things that you want out there inside of yourself. But at the same time, we are human beings, and when we suffer a loss, we do go through emotions that don't feel good. Now, there's a difference between going through a grief process and being locked in pain. And we get locked into pain when we don't allow ourselves to go through a grieving process. So before we started the class tonight, somebody said that they were reading the Exit the Maze, and I do apply A Course in Miracles to the concept of healing, because we can't ever heal if we don't learn how to love ourselves. So part of loving ourselves is to recognize that, nothing is perfect, and that we do suffer from upsets in our lives. And if we haven't learned how to express those emotions, then we do get stuck in pain, and we are stuck in the illusion that we're being persecuted and punished, and things are happening to us for a reason. Karma, God's out to get us, or whatever. I don't know why he would care about little old one person on the whole galaxies of things to deal with, but that's what our ego will tell us. He's out to get you, and you're being punished because you did X, Y, and Z in your past. So and then spirituality tends to take that and run with it. Sometimes I was recently reading where someone had suffered the loss of a child, 10 years old, and she was in a program, and the program people were telling her, oh, you really can't be talking about this, this is a resentment, and you're going to get drunk if you don't go right into forgiveness. And then she went to another source, and it was a similar thing, like you're not doing it right, you're not spiritual enough if you're missing your son and you're mad that somebody ran over him. I mean, this is ridiculous. And this is nothing that the Course is intending us to. This is an illusion that my son is gone. That's the ego carrying it to an extreme. And it is absolutely absurd. And a lot of times people in A Course in Miracles will disagree with me on this. That's fine. That's healthy. We all get to have our own perceptions. But I used to think about this myself a lot, like, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm upset. Or, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm sad. Or, oh, what's wrong with me? I'm not getting over this yet. And I have learned how to go through the process rather quickly so that I'm not in pain. I might be uncomfortable, I might be fearful, I might be going through my ego machinations, but it's not like it used to be where I would stay all locked in. It would be, I'm not supposed to feel this, so therefore I can't feel it. And that just becomes like you're all bottled up. It's like you're cramming a lifetime of emotions in a cavity in you. So you already have that, empty hole, and now you're cramming all these bad experiences into that. And if I'm just spiritual enough, then I'll be fine. This is all an illusion. So what happens? We need to be able to, let's look at it this way, from a common sense approach. When you're sad and you're little, what do? You
cry.
You cry. Now, how did you get tears? Did someone invent tears and tear ducts? I mean, we know that they're there to cleanse our eyes when they get dirt in them, but how come we cry when we're sad? Who created that? I didn't create it. My mom didn't create it. Some divine intelligence, when he created my being, created me to be able to cry when I'm sad. So to label that as an illusion, or tell a child this isn't happening, your dog didn't die, it's an illusion, is totally ridiculous. And we can all see that, of course. So, but when we get the message, which sometimes gets compounded by dysfunctional messages through spirituality, and we got those kind of messages when we were young, like big girls and big boys don't cry, or don't be a sissy, or I'll give you something to cry about, or get over it, get your big girl pants on and get your big boy pants on, or whatever in the world happened, rather than what should happen is like our Holy Father, which I would imagine, our Mother, Father, God, when we're sad, it says, come to me for comfort. Come into the Holy Spirit for comfort. It doesn't say don't cry. It doesn't say you can't feel. So you allow those tear ducts that are God-given, release the sorrow, and then you're not in pain. It's when we say, no, we can't feel this, no, this is wrong, and we bottle it up and hold it in, and it gets all twisted, and then we have memory on top of memory, and of course we as we've talked about before, we keep recreating those memories. That is the illusion. The illusion is, if I can make it different with this person this time. If my mother betrayed me, this woman who keeps betraying me, it'll be different this time, or it'll be different next time, rather than I can heal myself so that everything will be different. So that's the illusion that the Course in Miracles is talking about. That's the pain that we inflict upon ourselves. We refuse to accept the reality of a situation, which is it's over, or something has changed, or yes, there's a loss, but it's not really a loss because there's something so much better to come into it. But we can't get from A to B if we don't experience the emotional transitional process of those God-given tears and letting go. That means you're letting go. You're feeling that loss. You're letting go. It's when we're not allowing ourselves to do that that pain really gets pounded. I say it creates like a wall around the heart. And if we have a wall around our heart, then we're here to love, and we're not letting ourselves love. So we're creating more pain. We're keeping our wall up, and we're creating more pain. And so it just becomes a vicious cycle. So the first thing we want to do is not confuse spirituality with being human, and to give ourselves permission to feel sad when we feel sad, and to feel all of our feelings when we feel them. As we've taught, the Course in Miracles, as well as some of the other masters who have helped us, like Mickey Singer and other people, you want to go into the emotions, sink into the emotions so that they can come out. Then you are letting go of all of that pain, because that's the illusion, that when I hold on to it and I stay in pain, that's the illusion. Not the pain that originally happened, but the pain of not letting go of the pain is the illusion. Is this making sense to you?
Yeah, okay.
So just by being natural, and I'm sad and I'm crying, or I'm feeling upset, and then it's over, I don't hang on to it. I can hang on to it because I've cleansed myself of it. Then we can connect to the messages that we get. Then we can connect to the Holy Spirit, because we've cleared that cloud out. We've cleared that blockage of the ego out, saying, you shouldn't feel this way. This is an illusion. And once we clear that out, we just feel it, it's gone, then the illusion isn't existing anymore. So the ego is real tricky. And it's real tricky at taking something out of the Course or any type of spiritual thing and saying, you're not really feeling that. You're making this up. And if you just quit making it up, and this happens a lot, like in 12-step programs, and I love, don't get me wrong, I love 12-step programs. I think they are the most amazing spirituality next to the Course in Miracles, and they're both free, and it's so beautiful. But one of the things is, like, look at our role in what we did, and that's very good. But again, we take it to the extreme. Like, yes, if I didn't choose to tell the truth to my spouse, and my spouse divorced me because they were tired of being with a liar who was, doing whatever I was doing, and it was causing disruption in the relationship, and there was just no genuine, authentic intimacy, because this person wants that honesty and intimacy, and I can't offer it, and eventually the maximum amount of learning has occurred, and we go our separate ways with love. If that's happening, and I'm denying that there's any pain there, or that there's any discomfort there, then yeah, I need to take a responsibility that I did have a role in that. Yeah, maybe he ran off with somebody or whatever, but I did have a role in that, because the person kept saying, please, I need honesty, I need authenticity, and I kept just doing what I was being and doing. It wasn't anything personal to that person, but that's what I was doing, and I wasn't willing to look at my own role in it and my own self and be willing to grow. And that's where a lot of us really get stuck. We don't want to feel the discomfort of the feelings, so we choose not to feel them. If a child has been traumatized, has been sexually abused, emotionally abused, physically abused, neglected, to tell that adult that you had a role in this when you were little. I don't care if you did have a role in it when you were little. When you're little, if you had a role in it, it's because you're acting out your emotions, and it's not your fault. So we have to be careful, because that's where we have to go into another level of healing, and to acknowledge that original trauma, that original pain, it is loving to acknowledge the truth. There's nothing loving about living a lie. So we do need to acknowledge that truth. And no, I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel it. But I talked a really good example the other day. Let's say that you have an appendix and it hurts like hell, and you don't want to have it operated on, right? But that poison is going to keep growing and growing and growing, and it's going to explode, and then you can get sepsis and you can die. So do you want to keep ignoring your emotional pain? Do you want to say, I don't like it? I don't want to have psychic surgery. I don't want to have psychological healing. I don't want to deal with this. Well, that's your choice, but then you're going to be stuck in the illusion that your life is no good, and that it's painful, and that the world is painful, and everything in it's painful. You will get stuck there because you have refused to acknowledge that there's a wound there that needs to get out, and it will get out right away and make way for love, self-love. And it's not loving to ignore it. When we love ourselves, we take care of our bodies, we take care of our minds, we acknowledge our human experiences. So I think it's really important to clarify that we are not, I'm not saying that children don't do things that are deliberately and intentionally get them into trouble. And especially by the time I was a teenager, and I'm sure a few of you can relate, you're so angry you don't care anymore, and you're just acting out all over the place. And yes, by then I do have a role in it, but I'm talking about when it first starts really early on, and there's trauma that creates that type of personality that's disconnected emotionally, so we don't have any other outlet than to use drugs or alcohol or act out or be angry or whatever we do to cope. Then we can look at our role in that, but we have to take it back to its roots and to its origin and heal that early trauma. And then when we can give ourselves permission to do that, now maybe it's time to end. But now we can, honor that emotion so that it doesn't turn into pain, because sorrow is not pain. Crying is not pain. Crying is getting rid of the pain. Big difference. And so that's why it's so important. And we don't want to take this to the extreme that pain is an illusion, because then we say, I'm not allowed to feel upset with this loss. And the Course never tells us that. It tells us that the pain is the illusion, and pain is the result of not feeling the feelings and letting go of them. Thank you very much. We're going to have some questions and answers and comments. Yeah, we leave it open.
Okay.
I'll leave the mic open for questions and answers.
Okay.
Be nice if we could get them from the audience too, but maybe we'll work on that.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Dr. Marks, one hears in 12-step programs that feelings are not facts. What is that referring to, and does that make sense?
Well, that's a different topic. And it's true. Feelings are not facts. And the ego will take a situation, and based on fear, there'll be some type of fear, and the ego will create a story based on supposed evidence. I feel like this is true. I feel like you did this. I feel like I'm going to get fired. I feel like I'm going to go broke. I feel like you're not telling me the truth. I feel. And those are not facts. You can say that's how it feels, and I'm not saying it's a fact, which is different than, since I feel it, you absolutely have done it. That is a totally different thing. That's a totally different conversation. One opens the doorway to healing communication. One opens the door to accusing someone of something that they've never done, and we know where that goes. So this happens a lot now in the political realm, like all these feelings, and people aren't really taking the time to gather the facts and make sound decisions on that. And the reason they're not doing that is because all this stuff going on right now is triggering those childhood unhealed pain wounds. So if you know that that's happening, then you can at least say, maybe I don't know what's going on here. Maybe I just need to keep working on what's going on inside of me, and keep healing that early origin, that early root of the reactions I'm having now. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, facts are important, especially if we're going to try to present some type of carefrontation to somebody. We do this on interventions. We can't just say, I think you have an addiction problem. If you're going to do an intervention, you present specific factual evidence to the person so that they can see it, and it's done with love. So people who aren't fact-based tend to be reaction-based and just overload someone with, you did this, you did this, you did this, you did that, whoa, wait a minute. Rather than, this is my experience with the situation, this is what I'm feeling, I'm not saying it's factual, this is what I'm feeling. Or if there are some facts to present, then you would present those, but not in an attacking, accusatory manner, but in a healing, invitation to healing manner.
What if you're 6 years old and you make the decision that you'll never show that person that they hurt you, and you stop crying?
Right. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Then you have sentenced yourself to pain because you've refused to feel. And then you have sentenced yourself to the illusion that, and this is really important, that not only are you in pain, you can never get over it, so you don't ever get over it.
That's not true.
No, it is true unless you make the decision otherwise. Okay? So if you decide at 6, and I made that decision, so I understand it, no one's ever going to get to me again. I don't like it here, and I'm not going to feel. But at some point I had to make the decision, wow, that was really a dumb decision. It might have protected me when I was 6 so that I could survive. It certainly didn't serve me at 20, 30, 40. Because the truth is, no matter what happens, we have those God-given tears. We have the mechanisms to get over anything that happened. when we allow love in, when we allow support, when we allow people to help us, when we honor our emotional experience. And not only that, not only can you get over it, the pain, and you will get over it if you cry, if you say, this hurts so bad, and you get it all out, you're stronger next time. You have a better capacity for love in the future. But when we wall ourselves in and we wrap cement tape around our hearts, we stay in pain, and that is the illusion. Because there's no reason to be in pain. The ego's saying, protect, 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 and all you're doing is isolating, isolating, isolating. That's the illusion.
Well, I think, like with myself, I went back to my family history,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a grandfather that was an alcoholic, and he was very abusive to his family,
Mm-hmm.
and that was my grandfather. And he was killed by, not my grandfather, but my great-grandfather was killed by one of his farm workers
Mm-hmm.
with a pitchfork.
Oh,
Oh, jeez.
So my grandfather was very angry.
of
He
course.
passed that on to my father,
Right.
and guess who else got it?
You.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And my brother too. And on my mother's side, my grandmother, her mother had TB, so she never really had mothering. She was the mother of her mother nursed her sister. And so my mother was the 8th child that my grandmother had. And by then she said she was tired, and my poor Aunt Dorothy had to take care of her. And she resented the shit right out of her because she couldn't do anything without my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And
So that's where the neglect, the deprivation, the unhealed wounds, it keeps compounding generation after generation.
but then you get to the point where you realize that each one of them had their own.
Right,
So do you want to carry it
right.
or let it go?
No, you want to address it so that you can be relieved of that bursting impetus of emotional pain, or do you want to stay stuck in there?
And then when your mother needs you, you take her in and you have a wonderful
Well, that
time.
was a beautiful, holy healing with your mother,
Oh, yeah.
where you no longer needed her to be the mom to you. You were able to offer her the love that you didn't get, and then you found it, and that is the other side of letting go of resentment and letting go of pain means that we acknowledge it and we allow ourselves to feel it.
In another way, I was the mother.
That's what I just,
Yeah.
You became the mother to her
Yeah.
that you always wanted. Therefore, you found the mother in you. Yes, the paradox of healing, yes. Because there is no lack of love in you. But you're never going to feel that as long as you're walled in and I'm not going to feel. Because if you're not going to feel, then you're not going to feel love. You're going to just feel this ongoing discomfort. And nobody wants to have surgery. You have to turn it over. You have to trust. You have to know that you're going to come out of it okay. You're going to have to go through the pain. But then what happens? What happens? After your appendix takes out, what happens?
Feel better.
You heal. You heal and you feel better.
In my 70s, I had to have my appendix out.
Right.
Because the doctor that did my hysterectomy said it wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
What about when you continue to take back the trauma? Okay, you think you're past it, you're healed, then something triggers it again.
Yes. So the re-triggering of the trauma is the gift that you're not healed yet. And it comes in layers. And so if you've had a very severe trauma, it's going to take time. And there's no limit on it. I mean, that's the beauty. I get to keep growing. I get to keep experiencing that I'm not there yet. I mean, if I think I'm there yet, I'm really in trouble. Because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. So each thing is an opportunity to go to another level spiritually. And so if I judge it, how in the heck, and I did this to myself, how in the heck could I not be any better after this, and this? That's very dangerous because I'm getting better all the time, and this is just another. I talk about like the club soda with the bubbles that come up from the bottom of the cup. You know, at first a whole bunch of them gush up. Same thing with your healing. At first you get that huge gush of relief, and then after that it's one bubble at a time. But there's no limit to it. So if we just give ourselves permission to keep using the same tools over again, the tear ducts, the mourning, I'm sad that it wasn't I'm sad that I didn't have the kind of childhood that I wanted to have. I'm sad that there was that there was things that made me hurt really bad, and I'm sad that my stepfather was sick, and I'm sad that that carried over into my own relationships with men, and I'm sad about that. But I'm healing, and I'm always in the healing process, and I might get triggered, but I don't have to reenact the same thing of shutting down or acting out. I don't have to do those things, because then I am creating the illusion of pain rather than just experiencing that moment, like Mickey tells us in the Course. This is only about the past, and I can feel this and I can release it.
So it's really an opportunity
Everything
to
is,
continue
yes.
your personal growth.
Every time we get triggered, it's an invitation to heal another moment in time.
Mhm.
Well, for me, to cry, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very difficult, and it's confusing because it seems like I think it through. You know, if I get to that place, I'm thinking this is about the past. I kind of come to that, realization. This really isn't about this relationship that ended. This is really more about the past. And then I'll say to myself, I'll play the tape all the way through when I'm, let's say, maybe somewhat becoming obsessive, or just the thoughts are too current in my mind.
We get obsessive when we're not allowing ourselves the emotional experience.
Yeah.
Because
So-
it's blocked and they're trying to get out.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think my way out of it, maybe.
Right. No, that's what you just said.
Yeah.
I feel and I intellectualize it right away.
Right.
And that's exactly what some spirituality techniques do. You're intellectualizing it. Well, I can't really be sad about this situation now. It's about the past. Well, my intense reaction's about the past, but I'm also sad with the way I'm being treated now.
Right. Yeah.
So what would happen if next time you got sad, you said, I'm not listening to my mind, I'm just going to let my tear ducts do what they're designed to do?
Well, I could probably try that. I'm willing to try anything, but it seems, looking back at, a lot of the things I went through, I would get to where I just wanted to just let it go, and then I just.
But crying is letting it go, and maybe
I
your
hear
ego
you.
says if you cry, you're not really letting it go, and you don't really want to let it go. What about that?
That could be it too. That could be it. You don't want to let it go. It's funny because I'm in a catch-22 thing in my mind. I'm thinking to myself, like, if I play the tape all the way through with certain relationships, I'm thinking, like, it never worked. It really never worked at all from day one. It was always some kind of conflict. So why are you having such a hard time letting it go? Well, I know it now from doing some work. It's because of past childhood trauma, or not being loved, or getting the proper love and attention as a child, So then I was, and I say to myself, oh my God, and I really have to work on extracting that from.
But what if you said the relationship never did work? Well, it did work, or you wouldn't have stayed.
Well,
parts of it were working.
It was parts of it was working, right?
And then the parts that weren't working were there to help you to heal the past.
Yes, and I get it. I got that. I understood it. Until I took it. I was taking it personal sometimes. Like, what is wrong here?
Well, it's hard when you're being attacked not to take it personal.
It is very hard. Yeah, it is hard. It's hard.
This isn't personal that you're screaming at me and accusing me of something.
Right. Or you're yelling demeaning
but
words.
But then you choose love.
Yeah.
You say, stop.
Yeah.
Stop. This is not good for us.
Right.
Let's get calm. Let's come back to the conversation when we can approach it from the place of love.
Right, but I think then what happens is you realize that something, sure, the person is my teacher, and they're introducing me to some stuff, parts of me that need to be healed. But then I realize, well, I'm dealing with somebody has some strong issues that I can't fix, and that it's just not working. You know, there's no. You could pause. I can pause all I want.
What if you said we are perfectly matched because we both have strong issues, and the fact that I'm reacting like I am right now means I need to go and nurture myself and get quiet and go into the place that I was not allowed to go into as a child, and honor that this is hurting, and feel what I need to feel about it, like Mickey Singer teaches us, like the Course in Miracles says, I see the past. What about the past? And to keep healing that root. So then go to the person and have the conversation from the place of love, rather than saying, this person's really got it bad and I'm okay. I'm okay. If I can just see that this is they're crazy on, and I'm okay. Where's that getting anybody?
Well, I think the other dynamic is when the other person won't allow you to talk with them.
But
you know what I mean? Then you just have to you're like, there's no really rationalizing it. The pause was really, what was the pause for? I paused.
Well, so it's not a good time to talk when people are nuclear, either you or the other person.
Right.
And out of a place of self-love, you can say, let's talk about this in a day or two. And if that person doesn't want to talk about it in a day or two, and then they want to punish you, then you can say, this feels like punishment, and it's too long, and it's too much.
Well, at that point, then it's up to me. Then it's on me to basically let it go and
It's
walk
always
away.
not necessarily, but it's always up to you to set boundaries for what you're willing to do and not do, and to make the request
Right.
from the place of love. I'd really like us to talk about this.
Well, that's not going to happen. So, I mean, with this particular person, that's not going to happen. Okay. And I'm not even sure I want that to happen, because it seems
You're
like
right. It's not going to happen because you're not sure you want it to happen.
Exactly.
Because.
Well, because because it's like a broken record, you know. And I'll use every technique in the book. Come from a very calm state, from a loving state, from a compassionate state, from a very listening state of mind.
But you're coming from the place, listen to you, I'm okay and this person's not. Right. How's that going to work?
It's not.
So what about, we're not okay, but we can get okay by helping each other.
Oh, I don't think I can help her.
Because you're okay and she's not.
I mean, I'm okay most of the time, you know, but I do have these times where it's like, I know time heals everything, but then does it? Because, you know, how many times, I mean, I've been through 10 relationships
So
in the last 30 years, and they all seem to end the same way.
Right, so who's
So
the
there
common
each one of us is not
denominator?
okay, but you are.
Who's the common denominator?
Me!
So something in you is begging for healing.
Yes.
And so that's why when we're in conflict, we always bring it back. You know, it is so difficult for me when I feel violated to bring it back to me. And I recently had an experience where I actually thought someone had done something that they hadn't done, and it kind of, and I kind of had distanced myself, listening to the ego, and then I had a conversation. I found out, oh boy, did I have that wrong? Oh no, that's not what happened. When that moment of clarification in the conversation occurred, because we were together and we're calm and we're in a place of love, and the person told me, oh, that's not what happened. This is what happened. I'm like, oh my God. And all this time I thought, this is what happened. But it was not what happened. But my ego had convinced me, not factual, not facts. It sure seemed like the facts, but it wasn't the facts. Every attack is a cry for love. So if you're under attack, you recognize that the person is actually asking for love. If you're reacting because of your own childhood wound, you step back with love and say, we're going to get through this. We need some time out, a day, an hour. Once you get good at it, it'll be a holy instant. You can shift into the other gear. I'm going to work on myself. I want to really look at my role in this. in terms of what my childhood wound is, not what I'm doing wrong, but what in me is wounded that is caring how you're coming across like this, or what triggered you that I did, or whatever the case may be, that has to do not with you, but has to do with my past. And then the other person does the same thing. And yes, people come in, they do workshops, they understand it, but they don't practice it.
Right. Well, I think
You have to keep practicing it.
What what my brain says is that because I'm easy to get along with. I believe that about me. Okay, and I'm willing to bend and extend the olive branch, do whatever I have to do to to have a peace. Okay, and listen. But I think at some point you say to yourself, and I'm not qualified to be labeling anybody. I don't have the credentials you have, but right away my brain says, this person's just nuts.
Right, and what am I doing?
Freaking nuts.
Yeah, the person's nuts, and why do I keep re-entering into this nut case?
Well, there
Right.
you go. Why
And-
do I keep on, why do I
Right.
even want to even go back to something like that? I play the tape through and I already know
And
what
I
the
keep
end.
doing it, and now people are telling me that they're going to shoot me if I do it again. So there's
Exactly.
all this
I've
judgment.
cried wolf too many times.
And you have, it's like any addiction, you have this resolve,
Right.
I'm not going to do this again. And then you somehow think, well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe this, maybe that.
Well, here, I'm at a point where I do not really want to go back into it. But what happens is when the person comes up in my mind's eye, then I'll use the course, okay, but I have to be careful because of what you just shared a little while ago, It's like I can kind of downplay the feeling, saying, well, God didn't create this feeling, therefore this feeling does not exist. Well, that feeling does exist.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
because it's coming up.
Yes.
I'm thinking, like, I can't deny that, and I just can't shelve it and say it doesn't exist. So
Right.
take this away from me, Holy Spirit, please.
Right.
Because I have to
He gave you
process
the
it.
tears to take it away.
Well, I know, and that's where I have to. I don't know what
That's
the
like
block
saying,
is.
give me money.
Yeah.
Well, here's your brain. Here's the creative ideas that you were born with. Here's your purpose. Implement it.
Right.
Get a card made.
And
Start
I
passing
get
it out.
I just have to start acting like I get it. It's all. I get it.
I would love to see you cry.
Well,
That little boy that you talked about a couple weeks ago in here, when we were doing the live presentation, it was sitting on the porch, waiting and waiting and waiting
Right.
and waiting and waiting. And how sad, how terribly tragic that is.
and somehow on that porch, I developed some kind of bullheadedness, or I developed some
The
kind
same
of
technique you're using now.
right. And I don't know where
Self-will
it
will
came
get me
from.
through this.
Yeah, I don't know how that trait or how that mindset came into play as a little boy like that, sitting in the back
To
porch.
protect yourself.
Maybe so, maybe so, It's like, I don't want nobody to know that I don't have a dad. I don't want nobody to know that my mother's an alcoholic, because she would drive me to school when I was very young, all the way up to like 3rd or 4th grade, and she always had a brand new T-Bird, and she was always.
You don't want anybody to know how embarrassed you were, how ashamed
Oh yeah,
you were,
I
how
would crawl out
lonely
the
you
back door. I would sit in the back seat, crawl out the back door, so nobody saw me. None of the schoolmates saw me getting out of this woman's car. That was supposed to be my mother. That's wild.
But you talked at the book launch party about that void,
Yeah.
and that's what needs to be addressed.
Right.
That lonely, empty, something's always been missing part.
Yeah.
And to journey into there, which takes courage, and to feel all of that so that it can come out. And it doesn't matter how the relationship comes out, that's secondary.
Right.
And you will keep returning until you have nothing left to learn. You have no control over that. You have, just like an alcoholic will keep drinking until they've learned everything they need. I've tried it every possible way, and this isn't working. So I think I won't do it anymore because I love myself enough now not to do it anymore. Or with human beings, somehow they keep working on themselves And they've developed more and more intimacy and less conflict. But that doesn't happen until you've learned what you need to learn and you give yourself permission to do that grieving, and to feel those tears that God put in you so you can cleanse your pain.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Because now it's a reenactment. You're still sitting back and waiting for love to find you.
Right. Thinking that that's going to fill the void. And that's the lie.
But that doesn't matter. What matters is you're still the little boy on the porch that isn't getting the love that he should get.
Where does he go to get it?
Well, he's got to give it to himself now by honoring the pain around that.
How?
By allowing yourself to feel your feelings about it. Like we've been talking about tonight.
Just sit with it.
To be sad. It's messed up. It's sad. Like there's no way around. Like having childhood trauma is sad.
What if
Like
you're
there's
convinced
no
you
way
deserve
around
it?
that.
Mm-hmm.
There's like no way around it.
That's a good point.
What
Yes.
if you're convinced you deserve it?
Deserve what?
To be, lonely.
Yeah, not
Well,
Or
I'm not
be
convinced of that.
neglected.
Then you're choosing to listen to the voice of the ego rather than the voice of love of your spirit. And you have to decide that you're worth it because nobody can do that for you, and everything is a mirror of your own self-love. Everything. We can twist that up any way we want. We can mix it up any way we want. I am just attracted to emotionally unavailable men. That's my unhealed part reflecting back to me. I might be emotionally available, but for some reason I have not healed that emotionally unavailable family of origin. And healed it in me. I'm not going to change them. It is what it is. In fact, I don't even want to anymore. I love my mother just the way she is. I adore her now. I see her. She's something else. But I love her. I accept her. I feel sad that her world revolves around what it revolves around in, which is very limited. But, she's not unhappy. So it's none of my business. And now I can, like Mary said, I can be, are you feeling it?
Oh yeah.
Good.
Yeah, I feel it. It's just, it's weird. It's
I think you're having the same issue, that it's too uncomfortable to embrace this.
Well, I
wound.
don't view it as it is uncomfortable, but it's not overwhelming. Like years ago, I would be overwhelmed. When a relationship would end, it would be like I would be kind of paralyzed. Now, it's frustrating, and it's like, oh, I got to go back all through this role playing again with somebody else. Oh my God.
Role playing.
Role playing.
Yeah, or you gotta you gotta do the dance, until you make the connection, I guess.
In another relationship.
Yeah. So the thing of it is like, what bothers me is when the person says, well, I'm out. Okay.
But you have to understand that people don't mean that.
Well, I know that because I this particular person I know.
They're flooded,
Yeah.
just like you are.
Yes. Well, if I say I'm out, I'm really out. Okay. But I never say I'm out. I never freaking say I'm out.
Are you waiting for
I
that?
never am
Because
shit.
you're used to a mother that's
Yeah.
sleeping and out of it,
Right.
and you're just going to take whatever you can get. You're used to that. That's your
Yeah.
template.
And I refuse to take just whatever I can get because I've been down that road and it just ends in the same alley. You know what I mean? Where I'm being mugged.
Well, why are you doing that to yourself then?
Well, I'm not doing it to myself anymore.
Well, the way you're talking tonight, you are.
Maybe. But I mean,
Role playing and.
well, I'm just saying, I'm making all these statements because I'm kind of in the hot seat. But I mean.
Yes, kind of.
But the thing of it is like, this is where I'm at. Really, it's like I'm. Sometimes I'll have these thoughts that, and it's exactly what we, you know, at your book thing, you know, I'm realizing I have to turn this love inward, and I
Yes.
have been doing that.
Yes.
I've been doing that.
Yes.
But it's, you know, I'm like on the fence a little.
And how do you love yourself?
Well, I love myself by, you know, self-care, self-love. You know, you know, I'm a service guy. I like helping others.
Giving
I
to
take real
others.
good care of my animals. I take care of all my plants. I got thousands of plants in my yard.
That's loving others.
Well, I'm like, yeah.
How do you love yourself?
I love myself by taking really good care of myself.
How do you do that?
Going to the gym, coming here, going to the Urantia book, going to, you know, to meetings, you know, doing the ACA work, you know, and, you know, going inward, praying, meditating. I meditate every day, you know, and just connecting, and then just allowing myself to move out of it.
So if you could be 4 years old again, sitting on the porch, what would you walk up to yourself and say?
If I was 4 years
What
old
would you
sitting
say
on my
that little
porch,
4-year-old boy?
I would say today, you know, you're not responsible for this. You know.
Would you say, come here?
Yeah, I'd say, come here, come on, let me.
Come here, you pick him up and hug him?
Oh yeah.
What would you say to him?
I'd say, you're okay. You know, you're not alone.
I can't be okay, nobody's here. How can you say I'm okay? There's nobody here. I'm waiting all the time.
Well,
What would you say?
I'd say, you know, I don't know what I'd say to him, really.
What does he want to hear? From-
He wants to hear that, you know, he wants to hear that his dad's going to come and help him with things. He wants to hear that his mom's going to come. He wants to show the neighborhood, his neighborhood little buddies, that he has a mommy and daddy like they do. Because I would always compare.
And could you tell him that he doesn't have a mommy and daddy like they do?
Yeah, I could.
Could you validate that? You don't have a mommy and daddy, but
Yes.
What would you say to him?
I
Who
would
does he have?
He has his dog.
Who does he have? He's looking right at him. Who does he have?
He has himself.
He has you.
Me, yes.
And you could say,
You have me.
And
have you.
and
And I love you.
Yes!
Wow, it took me a minute to figure that one
I
out.
love you.
I
and
love
no
you.
one's ever gonna love you more than I love you.
Right. And that you know, here's the thing. I heard I love you from my mother, but it never had any meaning behind it.
There was no action.
Yeah, there was no. She
behind
never
it.
backed it up.
Words.
Yeah. And I
Words
don't,
and betrayal.
Yeah. And
And
I
that's
never heard my dad say
words and betrayal, and that's
Yeah.
what most of us learned about love. We were shown it in superficial ways, and we were told it, but we didn't feel it because it wasn't really there.
Right.
And now, when I asked you, what would you say to him? You had a hard time finding it in you to tell him.
Yeah.
And he needs to hear that all the time.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with you. I love you. We'll get through this. I'll help you.
Yeah.
It's okay to be sad. You don't have parents like everybody else, and that's really sad. It's really sad. It's really sad to see other kids have families like you'd like to have, and you don't have one. Nothing could be worse for a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it was caused me to withdraw. You know, I withdrew it. I withdrew. Yeah. Withdrew.
Everybody here understands.
Yeah. I withdrew, and I never really came out until I started drinking, and then that allowed me to come out.
Right. And then you kept trying to get them to love you like you'd like to be loved.
Yeah, and I'm always looking for. Yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Just.
So now you have to say to him, I love you. I'm here for you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Okay, where are we? Okay, well, we're gonna close out now on a happy note. I'm so happy all of you could join us tonight, and feel free to write in the Facebook questions or anything like that, and we are gonna keep growing and expanding this, so at some point we can get some questions and comments from the audience. And I just wanna thank all of you who shared so bravely and honestly and intimately with all of us. It's really a very beautiful thing, and you're helping the world to heal, and that's our mission, to save 10 million lives in the next 10 years. And this is the root of all of our addictions. See, you've touched some people. Look, you've touched some people.
Here, touch me so I can touch myself.
That's beautiful. Maybe you can even get a hug or something.
Oh, yes. Okay,
Oh.
thank you. Thank you.
It's very sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Okay.
very good.
Okay. Talk. Bye.